Hey gang, and welcome back to my channel. How are you guys? Oh my gosh. I've been going to film a video the last couple days and I had such a productive weekend this weekend. Besides the fact that it was Easter, happy Easter everybody. I hope you had a great time, whether you spent it with friends or family or just with a pet. Whatever you did, I hope that it was a blessing to you, in whatever capacity that you spent it. Myself, I went to church, and then we had breakfast, and we had our service, and then I cleaned the office where I work, and then went home for a while, and then I went out to the Olive Garden to eat with my son and one of his roommates because she is here from California. No family here to celebrate Easter with. So he's like, Mom, do you care if she comes with? And I said, absolutely not. Bring it on. Bring it on. You know, more the merrier. The last thing I would want is for her to be sitting at home on Easter by herself, you know. No, not having that. So, anywho, what I want to come and talk to you about is a couple things. Couple things with the update on Topiramate. I weighed myself the other day and I was actually up 3 pounds. I seem to be in a loop where I go up a little and then I come back down a little, and I go up a little and I come back down a little bit. And part of that has just been my eating, I think. You know, one situation that I did have happen last week, and I take 2 medications. I take one because I have a kind of borderline high blood pressure, and so I take a low dose of hydrochlorothiazide to try to bring down my blood pressure a little bit. Excuse me. And I keep that on one shelf, and I keep my Topiramate on another shelf. I take the Topiramate at night, I take the hydrochlorothiazide in the morning. And I think with getting ready the one morning, I inadvertently grabbed the Topiramate instead of the hydrochlorothiazide. So I had just taken 50 milligrams the night before, and then I took another 50 milligrams that morning. And the only way that I came to that conclusion was because as the day progressed, if you remember in one of my other videos, I keep looking over there and I should be looking over here. It looks like I'm not looking at you. I'm so sorry. Depends on which way I put my camera. Excuse me. Frog in my throat tonight. When I was at work and as the day was progressing, I started to feel that tingliness going up my neck and up into my face. And I was starting to feel kind of the tingliness in the back of my hands, and I'm going, what is happening? Why? I was like, why the heck am I feeling like that? This is not cool. I'm only taking 50 milligrams. This should not be happening. And then it dawned on me later on in the day as I'm working, I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I took another one. Because it hasn't happened. It didn't happen before and it hasn't happened since. So just be aware of, you know, if you take a few different medications like I do, watch yourself. Otherwise, that could happen to you, and I don't want that to happen to you if you can at all possibly help it. So those are just a couple things, a little bit of a update for you. Sorry, I just got done eating my dinner, and so now I feel like it's all kind of like sitting in my throat. Just water, by the way. In my last video, we had talked about that maybe I would do a little bit of a series. I'm kind of covering a few different types of medications. And one of you had talked about Qsymia. And so I want to talk about that today for just a little bit. And then I want to go into a little further discussion on some other things that I put on another sheet here. But let's first talk about Qsymia. Have you heard of it? What is it? What's it all about? Well, let's dive in here a little bit. What Qsymia is actually phentermine and topiramate together. And the phentermine is the good portion of the fen-phen trend that happened over 20 years ago. So sorry, my throat is just so... oh. Whew. Anyway, the phentermine is the good portion of the fen-phen. So it's phentermine and topiramate together. And this comes in a capsule. I had actually looked into the Qsymia initially for myself because I thought I had taken the phentermine before. I read some good things about the topiramate and I thought together it's like a win-win type of situation. Unfortunately, most insurance companies won't cover it, which I think is ridiculous. And when I did look up the expense that it would cost per month, which I don't have the kind of money, I've read that it costs anywhere from $150 plus per month. Without insurance, like I said, unfortunately, most insurance companies right now just are not covering it. And I just think that's ludicrous. It's like, I don't quite understand. I need to do a little bit more research on that. What they had given for some of the side effects, they talk about birth defects, you know. So as I've said in other videos, if you are pregnant, if you're thinking about becoming pregnant, talk to your doctor before starting any medication, or if you're already taking it and you found out that you're pregnant, please get to your doctor and say, hey, you know, what can we do about this? Because I want you and your baby to be safe. It says that women who are pregnant must not take Qsymia. So that on this particular thing with this double combination, they are strongly advising that, saying that you must not take it. So I just want to put that out there. It's saying that it increases heart rate, which that was also a concern of mine. I mean, I suppose with the combination of the two drugs together, that's a strong possibility. Suicidal thoughts or actions. It says new or worse depression, new or worse anxiety, feeling agitated or restless panic attacks, trouble sleeping, insomnia, new or worse irritability, acting aggressive, being angry or violent, acting on dangerous impulses, an extreme increase in activity, and talking like a mania, other unusual changes in behavior or mood, sudden or serious eye problems, any sudden decrease in vision with or without eye pain and redness, blockage of fluid in the eye causing increased pressure in the eye, which could, you know, lead to glaucoma, which is, you know, very serious. These are all very serious things that if you are considering any of these medications that you really do need to take into consideration. Let's see here. It also says do not take Qsymia if you're pregnant, if you have glaucoma, if you have thyroid problems or hypothyroidism, if you're taking certain medications called monoamine oxidase inhibitors, or if you've taken them in the last 14 days, if you're allergic to topiramate, or phentermine, or any of the ingredients in the Qsymia, anything like that, you know. I mean, a lot of these things are repetitive because we've already gone over a lot of the health concerns concerning both the topiramate and also the phentermine. Now you've got them combined together, and you just really want to be careful. So those were the two big things that I wanted to explain to you, that Qsymia is the two medications combined, and the fact that the health insurance doesn't currently cover it. So stay tuned. If I find out any further information, I'll be sure to let you know. The other thing that I kind of wanted to veer off onto a different little bit of a path, because I've noticed some kind of a reoccurring theme in some of the questions that I've been reading and responding to, and it has a lot to do with fear. And what I mean by that is, and it goes for all of us. It's not just me, it's not just you. We all have these fears, you know, what's going to happen to me if I take this? You know, what's going to happen if I stop taking it? Am I going to gain the weight back? You know, if I take it, am I even going to lose the weight to begin with? How long is it going to take me to lose weight? All these different things. And so what I did was, my hair is kind of wonky tonight. I kind of made a list of fears, and I'd kind of like to talk to you and give you a little bit of something to chew on for a few days. And if you have some legitimate fears, if you're experiencing some of those, I encourage you to make comments down below, and I encourage you, I mean, I am always going to respond to you regardless, but I also encourage you to respond to one another. I mean, and you can respond to each other in the comments down below as well. I encourage that. I think that it's a great community building way of doing things, to be able to reach out to each other. So, you know, one of the things that I thought of was, what's even the right thing to do? You know, as far as, you know, when it comes to weight loss. Now, if you've been following me for even half a minute, you know that I've been heavy all my life. When I was born, I weighed almost 9 pounds. I was like 8'14" when I was born. I've progressively, you know, been heavy my whole life and gotten heavier over the years. Had a couple kids, threw extra weight in on there as well. But weight has always been a battle for me. Always. It doesn't matter. It just always has. I've always been picked on for it. I've always been ridiculed for it, judged for it, you know, because so many people think that if you're overweight that you must be stupid, and I think that's just the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard. But people judge with their eyes instead of with their minds. So you kind of start thinking, like, I've been on so many different programs my whole entire life. I can't even begin to list all of the things. You know, I've done starvation, I've done Richard Simmons, I've done Stop the Insanity, I've done Weight Watchers, I've done TOPS, Take Off Pounds Sensibly, I've done Overeaters Anonymous, I've done Dexatrim, I mean, you name it, I have, you know, Way Down Workshop. I've done so many things, and if I truly had all the money that I wasted on all those diet programs, I'd have a pretty nice nest egg right now, to be honest with you. And it's sad, but the diet industry is so manipulative, and they prey on people like us who just desperately want answers, because if it were easy, everyone would be thin and no one would struggle. So it's a mental thing for sure. It's a mental thing. So, you know, when we're thinking about it, a lot of times it's like, is surgery a viable option for me? And if so, what type? You know, if you think about surgery, is the gastric bypass something that would be a viable option for me? Or maybe the lap band, you know, is that a viable option for me? You know, I told you in a previous video that my doctor had said to me, you know, you're a perfect candidate for weight loss surgery. And I had out and out told her no, because I've had other people in my life that have had different types of weight loss surgeries done, and they just didn't always work for them without a lot of different complications and repercussions of it. And they still suffer yet today. Those that are, of my friends that have had it, that are still alive. Not that they died from that, don't get me wrong, but I mean, you know, I'm just saying that those that are still with us that have had the surgery in the past still suffer. And so right now in my life, I'm thinking like, no, for me, for you. And if that's what you choose to do, I fully support you 100%, because you have to do what you feel is right for you. Doesn't matter what I think, and it doesn't matter what the person down the street thinks. It's what will work for you, what you feel is best in your mind and in your spirit and your heart. Another thing that we come across in the fears and in thinking about all this is, do I really need meds? You know, is it something, and I've heard different people go, well, do you really need it? You know, is that really something? Does a diabetic really need insulin? Does someone with high blood pressure really need blood pressure medication? Does someone with asthma really need an inhaler? You know, I think that there's been just such a stigmatism around weight loss that it should be just so easy to lose weight, and that, you know, you're just lazy and you just can't do it, you know, because you're just lazy or whatever, that it's not a problem. And I just believe that it is a problem. I feel that it is a chemical imbalance, because it's hard to shut off that desire to want to just eat and not be able to shut it off. Because I mean, if you talk to a normally, naturally thin person, they can eat when they're hungry and they can stop when they're full. And, you know, when it's not time to eat or whatever, they're not hungry. I mean, they don't even think about food. They have no desire for food. For me, I could think about food 24/7, you know. So long story short, I just really feel like with the obesity increasing, I just think that there are issues there. And I do think that there is a place, in its proper place, for medication, just as there is for diabetics, people with high blood pressure, people with asthma, although any other health issue, there is a medication. Not that medication is always a cure-all, especially when it comes to weight loss, because diet and exercise does play a part in it as well. I'm not, you know, trying to dance around it or say that there's just a magic pill. Excuse me, magic pill. So please don't misconstrue what I'm saying. All I'm saying is that sometimes we need help. I'll leave it at that. You know, and that leads me into my next question was, you know, can I do this on my own without meds and surgery? And it's a struggle. And part of me feels like, and again, you know, I'm always real and raw here. If I could have done it, I'd have done it by now. You know, people think just, you know, the Nike commercial, just do it. Just do it. And there again, it's getting that mindset, and that's just not always the easiest to get to that point. And if I could figure out that magical way to do that, I would bottle it and sell it and become a mega millionaire. What happens if I regain some or all of the weight, regardless of what method I choose? So that was a question that I kind of had sifting in, you know, people being afraid of, gaining the weight back. I'm right in the trenches with you. I think the same thing. I worry about the same thing, because I don't want to gain the weight back. And I try not to worry about it. Like when I step on the scale and I'm up 2 or 3 pounds and I think, you know, and then it's like, okay, we know that sometimes, you know, your body retains fluids, or you know, maybe you haven't had a bowel movement for that day, or whatever the case may be. Different things happen which can be, you know, can explain why you were up 2 or 3 pounds on that particular day. The key is to keep an eye on it and not allow it to get out of hand. Now, what I have considered is that if I find that the medication doesn't seem to be working and I start to regain instead of continue to lose, as I have been, I could potentially increase my medication, or I could change medications. So what I'm trying to say to you, and also preaching to myself if I go back and watch this video, is that there are other options, okay? I think we get sometimes into a tunnel vision of that this is our only life raft. For example, with the Topiramate, this is our only life raft. And if this doesn't work, and what's going to happen, and I'm going to drown, you know, if this puppy blows a hole and it deflates, I'm going to drown. And but there are other rafters out there, different life rafts out there, you know, different medications, different things to do. And it's not, if you do gain some weight back, it's not the end of the world. I know it's a pain in the butt, because I have gained and lost weight so many times in my whole entire life. I have a cousin that she, God bless her, I was talking to my mom yesterday, and I think she's lost like 60 or 80 pounds. I'm not quite sure what method she's using, but she's not quite where she wants to be yet, but she too has struggled her whole entire life. She too has been picked on her whole entire life. And why we were so blessed with the excess is beyond me. She's an only child. I had 3 siblings. I have 2 remaining. One passed away over 20 years ago now. But all my siblings were naturally thin. And one of my siblings always told me that she was never going to get fat. And I, gonna be honest, always took that kind of as a little bit of a dig at me, because I was always big. And kudos to her for not getting fat. You know, I don't wish it on anybody, because it is a beast to fight on the daily. It is a beast. Some other things that crossed my mind, that have crossed my mind and continue to cross my mind different times, is, do I need a support group? You know, I told you I've been to TOPS, which is Take Off Pounds Sensibly. I went to Overeaters Anonymous. And I really had a hard time at Overeaters Anonymous, because to me, I thought we should have been there to support each other. I thought it was supposed to be people who were working the program and were seeing the benefits of it. And unfortunately, they weren't working the program, because they had been in the program for 20 years and they were still obese. And also, when I brought up my struggle with Oreos, which you know is my ultimate favorite cookie that I try to stay away from. But you know, I had a slip here not too long ago, but otherwise I try very, very, very hard not to buy them. But anyway, I digress. I was never to bring up any particular food by name. That was just part of the... And I thought, you know, maybe if y'all talked about these foods that bother you, if you put them all out on the table and called it by name and talked about your struggles, maybe that would help you to overcome that, which is part of why I want this group to flourish because I want everybody to be able to talk to one another, to be here for one another, and to just, you know, have a shoulder to lean on, to be able to vent, or to be able to ask questions, or whatever the topic may be, or whatever the food you're struggling with, or whatever it might be. Please, please, please feel free to comment down below and ask, please. I just want this to be such an open forum, to be able to be a source of support, because that meeting, my friends, was no source of support whatsoever, and I quit going. I came home so unbelievably torqued off because they were just crushing each other's spirits. And I hate the word, but I'm going to say the F word. They were all still fat. You thought I was going to say the other F word, didn't you? Fooled you. Anywho, but they were all still fat. I'm fat, okay? I can call people fat because I am fat, okay? I don't like it either, but it is what it is. But they were all still obese. It was obviously was not working for them. It's like, take a look around the room, folks. You need to change. You need to support one another. Okay, I'll get off that soapbox. Do I need an accountability partner? I think a little bit of that goes along with us being here. I struggle with having an accountability partner. And you're probably going, well, why is that? I don't like to be accountable. That's why. I guess I have a rebellious spirit. It angers me. I've had to answer to somebody my whole entire life for every other aspect of my life. And I guess when it comes to, you know, like what I'm eating and what I'm, you know, my exercise and all that, I don't want to have to add that personal portion of my life. I don't want to have to add that as to the whole saga of an accountability partner. And I know that it doesn't have to be a negative thing, but I did have a sort of kind of accountability partner in the exercise realm at one point in time. And that was a painful experience because we would go for walks every morning early before work, which was great. You know, my dog would go with us. This was years and years ago when my kids were little. But then she would never go home. I would need to get my kids ready for school. I would need to get myself ready for work. And she would keep sticking around. And she had 3 kids at the time of her own to get ready for school and herself to get ready for work. But she would never leave. And it was just so anxiety filling for me. And I'll be honest with you, I ended up lying to get out of walking with her anymore. I don't even remember what exactly I contrived to get out of it because I didn't want to hurt her feelings, but I was tired of white knuckling it every day, you know, because she wouldn't go home when, you know, you go for a walk, okay, then you go home and I go home and we go about our day. And so I just struggle with an accountability partner. If you can do that, if you have a really good friend that you guys can do that together, kudos to you. Kudos to you. I think that's fantastic. I don't poo-poo that for anybody else. I'm just telling you my own personal storm in my mind of why I struggle with an accountability partner. And my last things were what scares me the most and what angers me the most. And I think that that's a little bit of both. Having an accountability partner both scares and angers me. It scares me because I don't want to let the other person down. It scares me because if it doesn't work out, I don't want to have to hurt their feelings of saying, hey, you know, this isn't working for me. I'm just not the kind of I'm more of an empath, and I would rather take the hurt on to myself than to hurt somebody else. It's just the nature of the beast. That's just how I am. What angers me is makes me angry to think of, you know, regaining the weight and having to start all over again and just going through the whole rigmarole of things again. But yeah, that's just some of the things. But I'm looking up at my timer and I'm like 31 minutes into this video already. Once I got the frogs out of my throat, I do apologize. Please forgive me. But anyway, with that, I'm going to wrap this up. But that's a little bit on Qsymia. That's a little bit of talking about our fears and just really taking some of these things into consideration of, you know, what is truly right for me. That's what you should be asking yourself. What is truly right for me? What would truly work for me? Regardless of what maybe the doctor says or what mom or dad says or what my spouse says or what my kids say or what the neighbor might say or whatever. Rein it in and talk to yourself and say, what would I like? What do I think? How do I feel? What do I think would be a viable option? And again, I can't stress enough. If you have questions, if you have concerns, speak to your doctor. Talk to your doctor about, say, you know, I'm thinking about either surgery or some kind of medication to assist me in losing weight. What are my options? And how do I make a decision? You know, I need some help here. And that can be a very useful tool. So let your physician help you as well. And again, we're always here. I want each and every one of you to know how much I love all of you, how much I love all of your responses down in the bottom. It's just been such a pleasure getting to know each of you, and I hope and pray that I can continue to get to know each and every one of you, because I just love hanging out with you guys and I want to film more. I just get so busy with life like all of the rest of you, but I do try to continue to film at least once a week and hope to maybe do it a little bit more often in the near future. So anyway, I pray that you are healthy, that you are happy, that you are safe. And I pray that you have peace in your life. Until we meet again, my friends, have a fantastic week, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye, guys.